But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas?
This video is not intended for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energy and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are willing to postpone. What was once the furthest outpost of the old frontier of the West will be the furthest outpost on the new frontier of science and space. Houston, your city of Houston, with its manned spacecraft center, will become the heart of a large scientific and engineering community. But if I were to say, my fellow citizens, that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of going deep in stretches, several times more than a featherman experience, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for components, guidance, control, communication, food, and survival on an untried mission, an unknown celestial body, and then returning safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at 55,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that of the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first, before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
Then we must be bold and watch Mornings of Mischief. Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki, and tonight, or today, oh my God, this morning, whatever, we are talking about space above and beyond, continuing our retro review this morning. Greetings, everyone. I hope you have had a great week. It's Friday. Yeah! And it is the end of the week. I hope you guys have had an excellent week, a great week listening to us each and every day in the mornings. And we're going to end it the right way. We're going to end it in a good way. And we're going to end it talking about one hell of a great show, Space Above and Beyond. I'd like to welcome my panelists this morning, Purple Valkyrie, Dave, Bob, Rambling Canuck. Good morning, gentlemen and lady.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
One hell of a
What
week.
a two-parter.
It was. I love how it worked out that way. We actually got a two-parter that like we can cover both parts.
Yeah, this is two strong episodes.
And a very, very well done by McQueen and Ross. I thought that was like the best
The
part.
two old soldiers.
Yeah, the two old men getting it done. And good morning, Lord Thoth. Good morning, Darth Haster. Good morning, Mark the Infinitely Tired, Dave G Sound, Punk Waddle, Dark Side Doug, Sit Room. Good morning, Sit Room, Punk Waddle. Good morning to Mrs. Canuck, Dad Man Walking. Greetings, the Doctor of Disaster and Destruction, and Dega Outlaws here, ladies and gentlemen. Psychodorf 9! How are you doing, Gun Buddy? Keely Chow, Roll Tide, Keely, Roll Tide. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, nearsighted Cyclops. If I missed you, I am sorry. What were you going to say, Dave Bob?
Oh, nothing. Just that there is always a nefarious aerotech in the background on this.
It reminds me of Burke in Aliens. That's who it reminds me of. It reminds me of Burke, the company guy. You know, the company guy that wants his xenomorph.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was a slimy little character, and he just kept popping up.
Yeah, you want he just turns into one of those characters. You're like, airlock is that way. You know, by the end of the thing, it's like airlock's that way.
Like whack-a-mole, you know. Popping up.
Yeah. And I love the beginning of the first part of this episode, the first part, when they are fighting this bomber. This bomber is harassing the Saratoga, and Commodore Ross says, "Take that bird out of my sky."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And
And then McQueen
no.
says, "Hold on, no." He said, what happened was some kind of malfunction with their computer took their systems offline for 30 seconds. And that was right after that ship was disabled. Of course, you didn't know it was disabled, and you're just sitting there. And McQueen looks at it and said, "Well, if it isn't disabled, we're dead."
Yeah.
I really like that scene. It really kind of amps up the tension between, you don't know whether they're disabled or whether both are disabled. And you can see the clock ticking down 30 seconds, and they're just praying that they don't get fired on.
Yeah, there was a lot of tension.
Yeah, and then there's the rare moment that McQueen speaks up against Ross. Ross gives a command, and McQueen goes, "No, don't do that. We need that. Don't do that."
It's our first chance to get a look at an enemy bird.
Yeah,
and a bomber to boot.
Yeah, and a bomber to boot. Not just one of the fighters, but a bomber. And they do get a good look at it, but not before Aerotech takes.
Oh yes,
and tries to sabotage them.
And tries to sabotage them. Well, McQueen immediately, the gears in McQueen's head's going. And McQueen's already thinking of a plan, and Ross calls him on it. Commodore Ross ends up, ever since you saw that bomber, something's been going on in your mind. And he goes, "Yeah, Trojan horse. Let's slip in their own aircraft. Let's slip in their backyard in their own aircraft, and do a little Doolittle run." Yeah. And for those of you who don't know who Doolittle was, after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, a young man named Doolittle came up with this crazy ass idea of launching bombers off of an aircraft carrier, which had never been done before.
And a lot of those bombers didn't make it home.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, none of them made it home.
No, none of them made it home. They were all basically some were lucky, some weren't. Some ended up in internment camps for the rest of the war.
Some ended up in China.
Yeah.
Who were our allies at the time.
Yes.
Fighting Japan. But the idea was to launch these bombers off these aircraft carriers and bomb Japan. Get Japan back for what they did at Pearl Harbor. Bomb the engine factories, the Mitsubishi factories and all that shit. And then get their ass to China.
Yeah,
I do like
as a background to all of this, everybody and not just in the military, but everybody on Earth, they're all downtrodden. They're thinking, we can't win this war. We're going to lose. Everybody's backs against the wall. And McQueen knows that it's going to take something like this to get the morale up, like the Doolittle raid, which is exactly, how this episode plays out.
Yeah, I will say I really like, as a history nut, World War II in particular, I really do like how they pepper in real history and they reference, but they don't do it in a way it's like, oh, come on. But now, like the way they do it, it's tasteful and it has impact and meaning, whereas some shows, they just throw it in to throw it in. But this always feels like it fits the mood, it fits the scene when they do it. So I like that aspect of it.
What were you going to say, Purple?
I was just going to say, yeah, just to tag on what Bob was saying, because the population is so demoralised, McQueen knows that it's going to take a huge risk to kind of get this going, and there's no guarantee that they can even fly this thing, but he's still willing to take the chance. And as we find out in the episode, how difficult they do actually find to navigate this thing. I love that scene.
Well, and one of the reasons why it is difficult to navigate it is Mr. Sewell from Aerotech is in this episode, and he takes the equations they need to fly the bomber. They were going to rig up some kind of human Chig interface and use that, and he makes off with the data, and they can't recreate that data.
Mhm.
So they're going to have to learn how to fly it the way the Chigs fly it. Instead of like a human Chig.
Right. Initially, also, they had, opportunity to study the thing and try to get to where they could use it for like a 10 or 11 day period. But then something happened with the alignment of the to where the ship could get back to where it came from, and it shortened it to where they basically had no time. It was like, a day later.
Yeah, you launch now or you don't have the opportunity.
Yeah, and like you say, they're still just learning how this thing works. So it works on a bioelectrical energy. So they're basically sticking their arms into the parts of this ship, trying to figure out what does what.
They call it the bladder.
Yeah, they called it because it looks like a big full bladder. So they are able to they are able to interface with this alien craft, and they are able to figure out how to make it function, how to make it fly. They end up leaving. I thought one of the cool things was right before, Trinoculus P. Ew. Right before they leave, Wang has a relationship with one of the techs on the ship. He ends up having a little love affair with one of the techs on the ship, and she's a little cutie, and she's like, come back on your shield or don't come back at all. I might be paraphrasing just a little bit, but that's pretty much what she tells him.
And he didn't even have to wear his shirt, his bear shirt, to get lucky.
Disgusting shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who have never experienced this, when I played football in high school, there was I think he was a junior. There was a junior on the varsity team on that I played with that wore the same shirt every game. And he said he was going to wear that shirt as long as we won. And we went to state and we kicked ass. So he wore that shirt every fucking game, and he never washed it.
Oh my god, that thing must have been able to stand up by itself by the end of the season.
Yeah, I had a few teammates that did that kind of stuff.
Some people did socks.
The ones that used to make me always roll my eyes are the ones that wouldn't change the jock strap between games.
Yeah.
Oh God.
No, my goodness.
So it was shit like that you were just like, wow, okay. Yeah.
Kind of like on Bull Durham, he didn't have sex as long as he was wearing.
Yes, as long as and that drove. What's her name? I completely,
Sarandon.
Absolutely, yeah. Susan Sarandon, absolutely freaking insane. It's definitely, superstition in sports. Yes. Yep. And gross. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Stephanie. So he's got that shirt, and finally, he shows up. They're all about to go on the mission at the end, and he shows up, and she's like, "Why, Vance?" And it's like, why aren't you wearing the Bears shirt? And he's like, I got lucky without it.
Yeah.
I also like the part where they, because they didn't know whether they were coming back. This is basically classed as a suicide mission. They clip their fingernails just so they've got something of them to be buried. I thought that was quite moving. And the speech that Vance gives, where she's talking about autumn and how much that means to her. I thought that was a really, really touching scene.
I figured that Hawks would go in for another kiss.
Yeah.
He didn't. She gave him a hug. She hugged him. I'm surprised he didn't try and kiss her, but you can tell that he definitely has strong feelings for her.
I also like when McQueen, was, taking excerpts from some speeches and everything, and right towards the end, when he came up with the original one, and Hawk said, "What dead guy said that?" And McQueen said, "I did."
Yeah.
And in this episode, you find out, the Commodore and McQueen are both, that he actually just came out and said it. "I love those kids," he said. And I, hate that, we're sending them on a mission where they might lose their young lives. And you just find out the depth of how much he really does love those kids.
Yeah, he was determined to go with them any way he could. And eventually Ross just has to kind of put his hands up and say, who am I to say what a man should give his life for?
And you see Ross for the first time, kind of like, I mean, you see him not the Commodore. You get to meet Ross.
Yep.
We have met Commodore Ross, and we have experienced Commodore Ross. Take that bird out of my sky. But then
wife beater, and he's got a wife beater on and his boxers.
and he's playing a guitar.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's like, "Those boys better come home." And he hands McQueen his pick, and he's like, "That's like taking me with you."
Yeah. That was a good scene. Would have liked to see McQueen give him back the pick, but he didn't.
Yeah, seeing that in the very beginning, in the very, very beginning, I would have liked to see that. Absolutely.
This was all around, just one of the stronger episodes in this whole series. The depth of what was going on, and there was even a scuffle, with one of the crew members of the ship, pretty much saying, "Yeah, well, they're kicking our ass. We ain't gonna, we ain't won nothing, and the Marines kind of took offense at that.
Yes, West kicks off again. He's very emotionally unstable when it comes to stuff like that.
Oh my God, West. And we're gonna get into West when we start talking about the second episode of this two-parter, because West is gonna run into someone he knows. Yay!
Yay!
Or someone he thinks he knows.
Yes.
The one thing about this episode with West is West pretty much kind of led the group on, I'm going, I'll do this no matter what, I will give him that.
Yeah, he stepped up when he needed to.
He did. And it just goes to show you that sometimes you can count on whiny McWhiny face as
yes, and he actually, he did fall for it at first, but he did pull up after a while.
Yep.
So he didn't completely sell them out.
No, and they go on the mission. They go on the suicide mission. They get past the initial Chig defense forces that basically scout the area. They're able to send back, like, they get squawked. And when I say squawk, that means someone's like friend or foe. They're being hit with friend or foe identification. And they're able to send back in return the friend or foe signal. So they get past the scouts that are watching the area. But once they get to the planet, they get to the planetary defense net, and basically they can't get past that.
Yeah.
That's not going to let them squawk back. There's something that they don't know, some kind of identification that they don't know that they're getting hit with. And they
Yes.
destroy the satellite. Go ahead. Perfect.
I was going to say there's also the issue, something that they kind of touched on, but they weren't sure if it was actually the case. The ship that they're piloting, it's technically it's not alive, but it's almost sentient. They're thinking. They said, is this ship actually going to do what we tell it to do? Is it
Yeah.
going to allow us to attack the planet?
Because part of it's alive. It's organic and tech. So they basically mix technology and organics to make this ship. And no, it doesn't. They go in for the bombing run. It looks like they're going to be successful, and they're not. And you can chalk this up to either they did not have enough time to practice this bombing run, or the ship just said, no, I'm not going to do what you want me to do.
Exactly. They kind of leave that up in the air, whether they're, just inability to perfect, their techniques or whatever with the ship, or the ship just said, hell no, I'm not doing that.
And they also find out that the ship itself is actually dying. So was this its last kind of
Yeah.
defense mechanism? It won't allow them to complete this bombing raid before it finally dies.
But it does give them a way out. In the end, they find an escape pod. The ship lets them know, hey, here's an escape pod you can use. And apparently Aerotech, Mr. Sewell over at Aerotech, knew that this ship had this escape pod. They're like, oh, well, we had plenty of time to go over the ship ourselves, and we know there's an escape pod in this little section right here. And yeah, okay. So they're able to get on the escape pod. The landing was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure how exactly they survived it.
Yeah, that was a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, the G forces on that would have flattened and crushed anybody, unless there was some kind of, I don't know. They must have had some kind of
dampening.
Yeah.
I could have understood it if they were like harnessed in, but they weren't. They were just kind of rattling around inside this pod. So,
Scrambled eggs, anybody?
Yeah, it had to have some kind of dampening field inside of it that prevented them from being squashed when this thing hit home. And if it didn't have any kind of, if it didn't have some kind of system to slow it down, that's the only thing that could have happened, because this thing fucking bounced.
Yeah.
When you see it hit the ground, this fucking thing bounced like over an office building and into like a mile. It bounced a fucking mile.
Yeah, they had to have some kind of inertial dampeners or something on that.
Yeah.
Because there is no way they could have survived that.
Yeah, Archer Collin knows what it was. It must have been made from the same material as the Indiana Jones nuke-proof fridge.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the anti-radiation fridge.
they had plot armor. That's what they had.
Yeah, plot armor, lots of it.
I will have to say that was the one thing I had with these episodes. I had a little problem with, because they did not explain any of it. When they first got into the ship, they were talking about all the advanced capabilities it had with the skip drive and all kinds of other stuff. But, they never did get into anything like inertial dampeners or anything like that.
And Larry makes a good point. They use that bubble wrap shit. The Martian landers bounce on Mars when they're landing. But they use that bubble wrap shit on the outside of it that blows up at the last minute.
Yeah. And they're also not organic creatures bouncing around inside of there.
Yeah, they're bubble wrap. And so that's the only thing I can think of calling it, is that bubble wrap stuff. So they crash land, and that leads us into the next episode. Do you guys want to do like a 1 out of 10 for part 1, or do you want to wait and do the whole thing, since this is a 2-parter?
Up to you.
I given that it is 2 parts, I would give it I would do an overall for the 2 parts.
All right, let's do an overall then for the 2 parts, and we'll do the 1 through 10 at the very end of this. The ship lands and they are captured. Hawks and McQueen end up getting out of the ship and getting attacked by AI.
Mhm.
They're
By the
back.
silicates. They're
You
back.
hear
Silicates are back.
it.
Yeah.
Dial-up.
And you're like, oh shit. If anybody here ever watched Stargate, it's like hearing the noise of the replicators. Meow, meow. You're like, oh shit. Tell me that's not dun 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 dun. You're like, oh man. It's like hearing the Godzilla sound. Dun 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 dun. The AI are back. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, McQueen and Hawks are the first ones that encounter them, and they pretty much use up all their ammo right away, taking out the ones coming, and then they look up and there's a buttload more coming. And of course, Hawks, he wants to stay there, but McQueen says, look, if we don't get out of here, we're not going to do them any good. We got to save ourselves before we can do anything for them.
Yeah. The cool-headed veteran.
Yep.
Yes, and he's even telling Hawks, leave me behind. I can't keep up with you. Go. And he just won't leave him.
But that's what they're gonna have to do. McQueen makes a very rousing point of we have to escape so we can get them out later. That's exactly what they're gonna do.
Mhm.
So they end up taking off. The rest of the crew gets captured. So West and Vance and Papoose and Wang, they get captured and they get taken by the silicates to a mining camp where they have prisoners from the Telos colony. They have prisoners from the 2 different colonies mankind set up that got attacked. They have prisoners there mining something. I don't know what the hell they're mining. They're mining something.
Yeah. and you find out that the reason the silicates have actually teamed up with the Chigs because the Chigs can't take the atmosphere on the planet where they need whatever they're mining, and the silicates, they get some kind of leftovers that they really want.
Yes, they get to keep whatever minerals they also dig up and whatever this glowing thing is that they're mining.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like lightning striking underground when they're walking past one chamber. And also, as West is being led down the hall, what happens?
Oh my God.
Nathan!
Nathan! Oh my God, Nathan!
I believe in you.
I believe in you. My vagina that I lost. Oh my God, come back, come back. Vagina that I lost, come back.
And it was at this point Nathan just goes to pieces throughout this
Yeah.
episode.
We're like right back to fucking square one with
Yep.
good old West. My God, as soon as he smells that vagina, it's just fucking over for him.
It's kryptonite.
I'm there's this saying that I heard a long time ago, and I'm going to I gotta remember who the fuck said this. It was Chris Christopherson. He was telling this to Wesley Snipes in the second Blade movie. He said, son, never underestimate the power of the pussy. One hair off that cunt's enough to pull a dump truck up a 5-mile grade. And as soon as Wes sees that Nani, he's fucking done. The whole episode's over for him. It's just done.
Little head takes over.
I don't think they did until they saw him. They saw them interact. It's when they saw them interact that it's like, no, we're going to use that. We are going to use that. And
Yeah.
Dark Side Dud, yes. Vagina Kryptonite, yes. Absolutely.
But that's one of the things I was wondering. Is this from something they've seen in the past where he's been trying to get her back? Or did they just happen to know that that was one of his primary motivations?
I think they didn't know that until they saw them interact in that when they were bringing him in, and they're like, oh, they know each other. Let's play on that.
Yeah, I could buy that, except for what happens at the end of the episode. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Also, this doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah, you're not really sure. In the first episode, all of the colonists that survived had left their tags out, hanging with messages and whatnot on it. And her message was, to Nathan. Of course, I don't know if the Chigs picked up on that and passed it on before, or it was like Loki said, something that the AIs just noticed right there at that time when he was going down the hall. They know each other because there was a big group of prisoners in that cell, and she
Yes, and West wasn't exactly, shy about it. He wasn't subtle.
No. Yeah, he acted like a bull in the china shop. As soon as he heard that voice, he just went ballistic.
And Izaj Melody rolls in the chat like Porkins mounting the chicken nuggets on the floor of his X-Wing before it explodes. Absolutely. I mean, Dark Side Doug apparently almost dropped a giant roll of paper that he was unloading because he laughed so hard. Thank you, gentlemen. Dynamite. Yes, Larry. Absolutely. So they get him in there and they separate him. They take Nathan and put him in his own thing. They take Bampoos and Vanson and put him in their own thing. And then they take Wang to our good buddy Elroy.
Yeah, love Elroy.
Elroy was a great character.
Oh yeah, that bad boy Elroy. You'll find out more about that later. But that bad boy Elroy, such a bad boy. I think one of his own people even talk about him later in the series. And they're going to torture Wang. And this is one of the most fucked up things because you never see it, but you hear it.
Yeah.
So every time they go back to Vanson and Bampoos or they go to West, you hear this motherfucker screaming in the background, and that is Wang.
Yeah. The only thing that it does show is him pulling off the first joint of his finger, and it having some kind of a torture device in there.
Yeah, like an electroshock. They're basically giving him electroshock.
Yeah,
is what they're doing. They're giving him electroshock, and that goes on throughout the whole rest of the second part of this episode. One of the first things they do kind of give you is McQueen and Hawks are still on the run, and the Vegemite comes for West. His vagina kryptonite comes to get him out of the cell, and they make their way off together. And he's like, I don't care if you're a fucking clone. I don't care what you are, whether you're real or whether I'm imagining you. McQueen, I'm yours, McQueen. And he runs off with her and just leaves his fucking guys there.
Yeah. And, bringing back up McQueen and Hawks, like Purple said first, they kind of split up there for a while. And McQueen, he lays a trap for some of the silicates, and he ambushes two of them and gets their weapon, and then he runs into Hawks shortly after that, or about that same time, and he rips the arm off the silicate. And as they're making their way back to the facility, you find out that in the AI wars, McQueen was actually captured by the AIs, and he was tortured for days. And he admits to Hawk, he said, I held out for 3 days.
And both both Punk Waddle and Kendra L bring up a very good point, and this is something that I feel they have kind of lost with current day Star Trek. There was a big thing about F-bombs and all this shit, the nudity and cutting off baby heads and Klingon baby heads and all this shit that's going on in Star Trek. The point Punk Waddle and Kendra L make is violence is most poignant when implied. You don't always have to show what's happening to have the impact.
Mm-hmm.
To have that impact. I think CBS with Star Trek is so worried about whether or not they can get away with something. They don't think about whether or not they should do something.
Well, yeah, look at Hitchcock in Psycho, that shower scene. It's implied, and everybody thinks, that you see that knife plunging into her and everything, but you never actually see anything other than the knife moving and blood hitting the walls. You never see the actual consequence of the knife striking her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it was done a lot with older horror films, like you say. Anything that you can come up with in your own mind is always more frightening than what they portray on screen, because once you've seen it, you've seen it. But once you're left to your own imagination, that's what will make it more frightening. And as you say, all you hear throughout the episode is Wang screaming. You don't know exactly what they're doing to him, but you know it's something horrific.
Absolutely.
And McQueen even makes a statement. He said he remembers hearing some poor bastard screaming, and was wondering what in the heck are the AIs doing to that poor bastard. And he said, when I woke up the next day, I realized that was me screaming.
Yeah.
And Kendra L says, nice catitian quote, Loki. Yes, you were so worried about whether or not you could get away with it, you didn't stop to think about whether or not you should get away with it. Yes. I wasn't even thinking about when I was saying that, but maybe that was somewhere buried deep in my chaotic mind, and I just pulled it. I never stopped to think whether or not they should. Should you cut off a fucking Klingon baby head in Star Trek? No, fuck no. That's not what Star Trek is about. Should you drop F-bombs in Star Trek? No.
Should you rip eyeballs out of people's heads?
God, hell no.
That pretty much sums up all of Kurtzman Trek, doesn't it? Should you do it? No.
No.
But we do it anyway.
Absolutely not. There's just no reason to. So, having that hidden, not showing that, whether or not they could get away with it or not, it's better that it's implied, that you hear that and that you hear it going on and you're like, damn, that's Wang.
Mm-hmm.
Every time it cuts away and Van Poos and Vanson are sitting there talking and you're and you're like, holy fuck, that's Wang in the background screaming. They don't even know it. His own people don't even know. Oh my God, is that Wang? No one ever says that. No one ever notices it. It's just someone screaming in the background. Oh, they're torturing somebody.
Yes, and it's not just for the audience, it's for the cast as well. The characters on screen, they're hearing this as the same as we are, and they don't know what's going on. So it's definitely being used as like a psychological weapon as well against them. It's like, this is happening to this guy, but it could be happening to you next.
Yeah, or it's going to be happening to you next. That El Royale model's a bad boy. I love the way. Yeah, I love the way he says that too. That actor, the actor that played that, I've got to look him up. The actor that played him. Yeah. Oh no, that's very bad. They don't like that.
That was Doug Hutchinson.
Doug Hutchinson. I'm just like, yeah. Oh, that's very bad. They don't like that.
Yeah, and he's always kind of leaning over Wang, and he's always kind of touching him. He'll stroke his face or he'll run his hand across his chest. It was so creepy.
Put his hand through his hair. Oh God, no! I mean, yeah, it's almost like a little erotic foreplay before we get to the torture.
Well, that's how he was talking to him, almost like it was a lover. And he even says, I think at one point, you hurt the people you love.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, this character.
Yeah, he played the hell out of it. I'll have to say he's one of my favorite characters in this whole series. Meanwhile, back when Danfoos and Vanson back in their prison cell, they're in a cell to where the AIs can just walk through because naturally they're walking computers. They just turn the field on and off as they walk through. And they pretty much come into them and tell them, look, one of you is going to live, one of you is going to die. You decide who's it's going to be.
And Punk Waddle, absolutely. It is a kink that the censors didn't catch. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, that Elroy L model's a bad boy. A bad boy. Oh my God, Mark. Should Tilly have eaten that 60th bowl of 5-alarm chili? No. We found Discovery and there was only one crewman on board. What happened? I ate them. I ate them all. You fat bitch. Oh my God.
They should have had her in on the Tribble episode. She'd ate all the Tribbles.
Yeah. No harm to the ship. She could have ate all the Tribbles. And of course, Spock's going to be smuggling sausage in Strange New Worlds. We will get to that. Trust me.
No, don't.
We will get to that. I have something to say about that. Not today, because we're talking about a good series.
I don't really want to think about that.
Yep. Smuggling sausage. Spock's going to be beating the balonies of the crew on Strange New Worlds. It's only logical that I beat your baloney, sir. All right, that's great. No wonder him and Kirk were so close, and Bones was the one always getting in the middle. Bones was the cock blocker.
Yes, we have gone full circle now back to the fan fiction that started out back.
You green-blooded hobgoblin sausage smuggling son of a bitch.
All right, come on, let's go. Let's get away from this.
Yes, let's get away from this and talk. Yes, let's talk the rest of this episode. McQueen and Hawks are kicking ass and kicking Silkid ass and taking names, and they plan on getting the crew out of oh my God, Soul Assassin. Yes, the captain's log will have new meaning.
Oh my God.
They're going to be getting the crew out of the mess they are in. No pun intended. They are going to sneak into the facility. Meanwhile, back on the Saratoga, Commodore Ross has gotten a visit again from Mr. Sewell from the company. And he wants him off his ship until Sewell says, I can get you into the Cirrus system where your team has been captured. I can get you in. Let's go now. Let's go right now. If we leave now, we can make it. And they go in to get McQueen and the 5/8.
Okay, and during this, while Wang's being tortured, he gives them some misinformation about where a battle group is going to be headed. And
that's West. That was West.
Was it West or Wang?
Yeah, it was West because he tells the fake girlfriend. Because guess what? Dun dun dun. His girlfriend's not really his girlfriend. His girlfriend's like a shape-shifting chig in disguise.
Yeah.
And you kind of pick up on that when he's cut, and Elroy, he indicates that the Chigs hate the smell of human blood, and when West cuts his hand, she's standing there looking at that cut, and I mean, she has a horrified, disgusted look on her face.
Yep.
Yes, she can't get away quick enough from it.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's just a little cut. And she's like, "Ugh." So they give you all the information you need to know that she is not who she appears to be.
Mm-hmm.
And West is eventually like, you know what? I can't run off with you and be with you. I've got to save my team. My team's more important. Oh wow, the vagina didn't think about the team. The Vaginite failed, and West turns back and goes back for his team. Meanwhile, McQueen and Hawks are infiltrating the facility. The Saratoga is almost to the planet. Banson and Bampoose are getting out of the situation they've been. They've captured one of the silicates and used her to get out of the cell.
Yes,
Apparently,
they had to kind of work together and kind of trick the silicates into thinking that they were going to fight each other, and they do actually fight each other, which was pretty cool to see. And then they take the silicates out, which I thought was a really good scene.
Psych.
Archer Collin asks, so was the shapeshifter another species allied to the Chigs, an organic android, or what? I think it was a Chig.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
That's-
it
yeah.
melted down just like the Chigs did.
Yep, it melted down exactly the way the Chigs did when they were exposed to oxygen. So
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure how they did it, whether it was some kind of bioengineering, but it was a Chig.
Yes, because they do say that Chigs can't take the atmosphere that they're in, so it just turns into green goo.
Yeah, after he pierces her shell with many bullets.
So let me get this right. Shape-shifting Badgemite. I may just have to leave that one alone. Yeah, shape-shifting badge.
The more you know.
Yeah, the less you want to know.
Yeah.
Especially about West's sex life, because they make out. So he made out with a chick.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and it didn't appear to bother him that much.
No.
No, he would have gone home. He would have gone if she wouldn't have been as cold as she was, he would have gone home.
oh yeah.
But there was
That-
something, yeah.
That and she gave herself away at the end of the episode by calling out their names,
Yeah,
which is
that's
why I
what
wondered.
tipped him off. You know,
Yeah,
that's when he really knew.
yeah, which is why I wondered: did they know all along? Was she planted there? You know, have they done this before? Did they know the connection between the two of them? Is she being used? Because they know that seeing her will completely derail him and make him useless to the team.
Or was
See,
that really her at the first, and they just in the interim, bioengineered one of the Chigs to look like her very quickly. It is, they never really get down and tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that is what happened. I'm at least 99% sure. Of course, I can't be 100% sure. James Wong never talked about this, or James Wang never talked about this. The guy who did the episode, but I'm pretty sure that was really her in the very beginning when you see her for the first time, and they played off that. They used that, and they had that shape shifting. They had something they were working on, some kind of genetic way to shapeshift it.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of kegels to be a shapeshifter, yes. Loading.
Yeah, I guess I can see that because it was awfully convenient that she just happens to have a cell next to him. They can just pull a block out of the wall, and she can tell him the escape plan and tell him be ready to go. And he just goes. He doesn't question it.
And they never bring this up again. And it's one of those times where I'm sure they wrote themselves into a corner. I'm not sure I remember this episode. Archer Collins says, but wouldn't the humans now need to be aware of shape-shifting infiltrators? Yes, they would have, and they never ever show this again.
Nope.
Mhm. Well, just to bring up one other thing, and this has nothing to do with it. Do you guys remember the Transformers, the Michael Bay films? How terrible they were.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They have that in one of the films where they can actually replicate a human, and it's never brought up again.
That's Black Arachnia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Black Arachnia in 2. They
Mhm.
have that human one. Yeah, that's Black
Yeah.
Arachnia in 2.
It's the same trope, and it's never touched upon.
They did a lot of stupid shit.
Oh yeah. Well, Michael Bay, if it isn't exploding or crumbling, he doesn't care.
They made Soundwave a satellite, for fuck's sake, and a Mercedes. I'm sorry, but that's not. Yeah, no, absolutely not. I know we've gone way off topic here. What are they mining in this facility? And this is a big thing because this is going to come up later. The fuel they are mining is special. That's why this mining operation they've got is so important. That's why the Chigs made this huge deal with the silicates. And the silicates think, oh man, we're making out like bandits, but they have no idea what the hell the Chigs are mining exactly.
Nope.
There is going to be an episode not too far in the future called The Angriest Angel. And it is going to be one of the best 2-parters in television, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
If not one of the best, very, very, very best 2-parters in all of sci-fi. This will all connect into that. So at the end of the episode, they get the 5/8 off. They figure out that the Vegemite is a fake, a clone. It's clone Vegemite. It's shape-shifting Vegemite. And West they end up taking her out. And then after they take her out, these silicates pop up like ambush style. And she would have gotten them all killed. They would have either all been killed or they would have been recaptured and not saved. The Marines come down in a drop ship from the Saratoga. One of the Marines is like, we'll take care of the facility or whatever. And the 5/8 get in the transport, and then the Marines jump back in, and one of the Marines has a backpack with something inside of it. And this is some of that shit they're mining in this facility.
And at the very end, Sewell is sitting there with a grin on his face with a red glow coming out of the box.
Yeah.
What's in the box? Yes.
They pull Pulp Fiction. They give you a Pulp
That's
Fiction.
exactly what I thought. Yeah.
What the hell's in the briefcase? So, what's the 666 to open?
Yeah, and if we haven't had seen this before, we wouldn't have any idea what it is.
No, you have no idea what it is. They don't explain it. They never explain what the Chigs are mining. Red kryptonite, close enough. But we will find out later. When the 5/8 and McQueen get back on the ship, there is a resounding speech by Ross, and everyone claps and they're heroes. And Wang sees his punani that he left on the ship. What he hit, what he got is his own Vegemite that he got before he left. And she's like, I have this for you, this gift for your return. And he just looks at her like, fuck off, and walks off. And the reason why is Wang admitted to war crimes and all kinds of nasty shit when they were torturing him.
Yeah.
And he is ashamed. He's going to have to live with this. And this is shit that this is
It'll
something
come up later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's going to come up later too.
He gets back
Well,
on
that's
the ship,
good.
a broken man.
Yeah, he's not the man he was when he gets back to the Saratoga.
No, he's not. But they're back. They all made it back. They're all alive. If not a little broken because West, he had to shoot his own Vegemite. He had to shoot his Vegemite, and Wang shot down his Vegemite when he got back to the ship. And there's just a lot of shooting down Vegemite.
Yeah.
A lot of shooting down the punani when you got back to the ship. It was like, yeah, the punani is not good.
Mm-mm.
Let them eat cake. No, they don't want it. apparently. So
Oh.
nope.
I was a little surprised that they didn't try to liberate the prisoners. I'm guessing
Yeah.
just because there were so many AI on the moon, perhaps. But I thought maybe they might have tried to take some of them with them.
Well, the Marines went in. The
Yeah.
Marines went into the facilities, and they just left the people there. They didn't give a shit about the people. The Marines just left them. They just wanted to take Sewell his fuel.
Yep, the Sewell fuel.
Sewell fuel. We're gonna call it Sewell fuel.
So,
Burke's alien.
how mad would you have been if you've been one of those miners? You've been captured. You've been forced to work in this mine. You know, you don't know whether you're going to live or die. The Marines come in. They rescue this group, and then they leave.
Yeah, like, fuck y'all.
After Colin, because I was in my teens when this show came out. It was after the first.
Yeah, it was 95.
Yeah.
I think.
So it was after. All right. So if you guys had to give this a 1 through 10, go ahead and give us your score. We'll start with Purple, Canuck, and then Dave Bob. So Purple, what did you think about this two-parter?
I really liked it. I would give it a solid 8. I thought the interactions with the cast were great. You know, West, of course, went to pieces, but did we expect anything more once the girlfriend comes on the scene? So he's a non-entity throughout these 2 episodes. Well, throughout the second episode. The first episode, he kind of steps up and, you know, at least he takes charge. But it was really about it was Wang centric. You know, he was on his own. He was the one singled out as the weak link, I suppose you could say. That's why he was the one who was targeted. I loved the Elroy character, incredibly creepy, but I thought it was really, really well acted. The actor did an amazing job portraying this horrible character. I loved it. It was great to see kind of the interaction between Dampus and Shane. You know, you get to see more of them. They start off with Dampus is kind of clicking her jaw because she's got this injury, and it's driving Shane nuts. But in the end, she's like, just keep doing it because it reminds me of home. I thought that was really sweet. And I really loved both Ross and McQueen in this episode. Incredibly strong characters. You can tell that they both care so much about the people under them.
All right, Rambling Canuck.
I'll go solid 8.5 for the overall. Some of it, like I really would have liked, like in the second half of the 2-parter, for when they get back, for there to be a raw, the Commodore, and just a moment where he's handing back the pick. Tie that up, because it's in the first part, but then they don't finish it off. They finish off Wang by, she wants to give back the thing that he gave her before he left, but they don't do that with Ross. I thought that was a missed opportunity. Just some of the stuff that they hint at, but they don't give you the information, so you're still kind of what? But overall, it was great. 8.5.
I'll also give it an 8.5. Both episodes were very powerful. They were excellently acted. That Elroy character, you couldn't ask for a better rendition of that than him. And like we've been saying all along, Commodore and McQueen, their interactions, you just kind of find out that these guys have been around a while, and they've probably been around each other a while too, because they're on pretty familiar terms. And it kind of brings it a little closer to, the cadre of the old guys and the young guys, and how they try to look out for their Marines and whatnot. But I'll just have to say 8.5. Loved it.
All right. To echo the comments of all 3 of my colleagues here, that Elroy L model is such a bad boy. I agree. I'm going to give it an 8.5, somewhere around there. I think that the callbacks to events that happened in World War II were absolutely wonderful. That there are things that do not get talked about enough, and the Doolittle raid is one of those things. The strike back after Pearl Harbor. Everybody focuses on Pearl Harbor, but not enough people focus on what happened after Pearl Harbor. And the Doolittle raid is one of those things that is absolutely positively. It was insane. It was insanity. And the military told him that this is insane. You're talking about launching bombers off an aircraft carrier. It's not done. Well, we're going to do it. And we're going to do it. And one of the things I didn't even talk about was stripping all the weapons off of those planes so that they could take off.
Yeah.
Things they did, like painting broomsticks black so that if they ran into any kind of fighter patrol, they would think they had guns.
Yeah.
And
it was also to carry more fuel so they could make the trip too.
Yeah, and still get off the carriers. That
Right.
was the big thing, was being able to launch off of the carriers and get there. So to bring up the wartime stuff, I always like that, especially McQueen, because McQueen gets emotional. McQueen, when he's sitting there and he's talking about that, he's doing it with such emotion that you can't help but feel it and get a little like, holy shit, yeah, we did that. And reminding them all, this is what humanity is capable of.
Yeah, and he's also talking to Hawks, and Hawks asks him why he would want to do that for humans, and he pretty much says, look, it's so that nobody can look at us and call us tanks and nipple necks and that we're lazy and we don't do anything. He said he just wants to prove, they're human.
Yes. And Ross's feelings for McQueen, like, you son of a bitch, you better not go out and die because I need you, shows the camaraderie there. Commodore Ross does not look at McQueen like a nipple neck or a tank, and he's like, why the hell would you die for us? Why the hell would you die for us? And he's like, because that would be the greatest honor, dying for the Corps, dying for humanity, doing something worthy, making the life I was given mean something. All these things could be missed. You could look over them and be like, what the fuck is this show? And you'd be missing all of that. A greater question of who we are and why are we here. And we don't take a knee. And that's what McQueen's all about, is not taking a knee. So of course I love McQueen. I love Ross, because they're two people that will not take a knee. No matter whether the government itself wants to make peace with aliens and just give up everything in this pursuit for peace. McQueen's not going to do that. Ross isn't going to do that. They're going to fight to be in the bitter end. They're what is called hard chargers.
Yeah.
And Asajj Melody, yes. Hell, I got lots of friends. I don't. Yeah. Exactly. We do not kneel. Hell, the fandom is. So I'm going to agree with my colleagues here. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I think this is one of the best two-parters in the show, but it is not the best two-parter. That is yet to come when we meet the angriest angel. I want to thank Purple Valkyrie, Rambling Canuck, and Dave Bob for doing this with me. I could not do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. I could not do this without you. Thank you, chat, for being here today. It's Friday. What are you going to do? It's Friday. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for being a part of this dream called Valhalla. Thank you very much. I hope you guys have an excellent week. What is coming up, guys? We'll start with Purple and go around again. What is coming up that you would like to shout out?
Well, I've got the morning show coming up in a little bit, and lucky enough, the boss is going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking Tales from the Crypt.
Hello, kitties. Yes,
That was a good old show.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yes.
Yes.
Although the remake sucked, but the original was good.
The original
Yes,
was great.
we're sticking with the original.
I hope
A little tale I call Bordello of Blood. Yeah, so we're going to be talking. Absolutely. I can't wait for that. Canuck, what do you got coming up?
Well, History with R&R dropped the 9/11 roundtable with myself, Mark the Inflay Tired, and Jeff Franklin. It was a good record, so hopefully everybody gets to check
Yes.
that out. Karaoke tomorrow night, 9:05. I may or may not be there. Mary may be going at it alone. My ass will be at the lake by 9 a.m. with my fishing rod over the boat. So we're going out of province, so it's 3 hours there, 3 hours back. So depending on when we get out and when we're done filleting fish and all that good garbage, will depend on if I make it back by midnight. But karaoke should still go ahead as normal. I just may not be there tomorrow night. I want to thank everybody who did show up last week, Dave, Bob, and everyone else. We did really good. We raised over $100 for Mary's charity last Saturday on karaoke. So we did good there. We're probably going to do another one of those coming up later on once it gets closer to the actual charity ending. But it was really good turnout. We had a full panel. We had to cycle people. It was crazy. Yeah, it was really good. But that's what I've got going on. And I might even dabble into wrestling on my channel for a while. We'll see.
No.
Yeah. I'm getting tired of these one-sided little buggers promoting AEW like little fanboys, and it's about time somebody started talking real numbers and reality, because the wrestling world has just gone to hell. This CM Punk, Daniel Bryan show up on AEW and they're going to put WWE out of business. Yeah, heard that before. So yeah, I might have to.
If anybody was ever going to do that, it would have been Eric Bischoff, and it didn't work. It almost worked.
83 weeks, boy, 83 weeks. They had a good run. But yeah, I mean, like today they're launching the AEW beat Raw in the in the key demo, and it's like, yeah, but Raw's going up against Monday Night Football, you idiots. So of course Raw takes a hit in the demo because Monday Night Football, and then AEW goes unopposed, and AEW is doing so good. No, their rating keeps dipping every week, so their overall rating, but all they mention is the demo. But it's like, yeah, but Monday Night Raw's also got freaking Monday Night Football, you idiots. So yeah, I might have to bring some of these bigger wrestling channels back to reality. But yeah.
All right. Dave G Sound says Rowdy versus Hulk. Yes. Rowdy.
And whatever you do, don't look up Ric Flair anytime soon, because he's about to get canceled. He's in so much shit right now. It's not even funny.
I'm sure. Andre, absolutely. The old shit I love. I love the old shit. I can't stand any of this shit playing now. Dave Bob.
Well, I hear a rumor that sometime next month there's going to be something starting on your channel one evening, and I'm not really sure I'm going to say what it is, but I'm going to try to be a part of that too.
I would love to have you on. Absolutely. I would love to have you here talking about that. Yes. We've got a show that is being produced by a member of this community. I can't talk too much about it, but I do know that we're going to kick things off on my channel probably around the 11th of next month, and it should be great. So I would absolutely love to have you a part of that day, Bob.
I'll be there.
All right, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Me and Mexican Iron Man will be on tomorrow night. But until then, I will be popping on Purple Valkyrie's channel here in just under an hour to talk Tales from Crypt. So I hope to see you all there. Everyone, take care. Have a great one. Be excellent to each other. And enjoy the weekend, folks. See y'all later.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one, folks.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.